Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Ultimate Doctor Who Marathon. This is the show where we look at every classic Doctor Who story plus a bunch of big finished audio dramas, one episode a day, 7 days a week. Before we begin, because in 2019, YouTube was caught data mining the information of underage users, therefore violating the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, they reached a settlement which ended with them scapegoating creators, meaning that I have to ensure that everyone is aware that this video is not meant for children. It's not marketed at kids, it's not advertised to kids. Yes, Doctor Who is a family show that kids can watch, but this video, as with all of the videos on my channel, are looking at the show from an adult perspective, and as such we'll be discussing adult themes. That being said, today on the 6th of May 2020, yes, we've missed a couple of days, I'm sorry about that, I'm in the middle of exams and everything's kind of crazy. We're starting to look at the second televised story written by Christopher Bailey and the second TV story of season 20 with Doctor Who Snakedance, starting with part 1. Okay, so oftentimes there are a bunch of issues with Doctor Who stories of this era spending too much time in the TARDIS before things get going. This Snakedance actually doesn't have that problem. Yes, there is, a lot of stuff taking place in the TARDIS early on here, but that doesn't actually come in to be a problem because it's actually doing a good job of setting up what the story is. This entire story, the reason the story starts in the TARDIS is because we're dealing with the fact that Tegan has been having more nightmares again. And she is actually, it's very possible that she has reset the TARDIS coordinates to the planet Manussa, part of the Manussan Empire, which is sort of this old empire that's kind of fallen out of favor, and now it's kind of just a story that's basically doing something where there's where you have the plot all kind of dealing with the plot and with the characters and with a bunch of different things. You set up this planet as sort of basically an analog for British colonialism, kind of, but also mixed with just sort of the degradation of long societies and like tourist industries. Like a lot of his story takes place in a market where you have peddlers peddling a cave of wonders or fortune telling, and things like that. It's all of these very, very small things, but it's sort of almost a mock of the culture. Like the culture is just kind of you know just being a being something different and something weird. It's very, very different. It's something that I admit to really, 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 really liking the way that the story kind of does what it's doing. It sets up this society. It opens with this very nice artsy shot. The direction is done by Fiona Cumming, who is really, really good. And throughout this episode, Janet Fielding basically plays the role Hypnotize. And we get to see just sort of this childish version of her where Tegan is remembering being in her garden and being something different and something just something weird. It's definitely something different for the character. You really get to see that the story in and of itself is is basically, following up the trauma from Kinda, because yeah, uh, it's something different. Uh, it's something different and weird, for just about everything. That I think actually kind of builds up, like, because you have this Federator, uh, like the son of the Federator, Lon, played by Martin Clunes, who is kind of a would become a well-known British actor. This is one of his first, uh, real stories. You know, it's it's different. It's a very very different type of plot. They are, he's kind of just the upper class and kind of twit. Um, and you're all building up to this point where, Tegan gets scared. The hypnosis is broken, sadly, of her, and, well, she's actually put under control of the Mara. Like, that's where this episode ends, with actually a really, really nice kind of artsy sequence. That's very, very different from, like, the cliffhangers in Kinda. Like, the Mara is taking more of a front and center. Here, it's less of a mystery and more of a here's this is what we're doing. And I think that's just done really well. Like, there really is that good sense of mystery to the plot, and Janet Fielding plays it really well. And the Doctor has a lot of fun. So does Nyssa. Like, this is, like, them as a team together, the three of them, on television works. And it is kind of a shame that, they don't always do a lot with this team, but it's glad that we have this story. So overall, I would have to give part 1 of Snakedance a 9 out of 10. Alright, it is the 12th of May 2020. There goes any plans of getting this episode out on a decent, timely manner. Again, I apologize, I'm in the middle of exams, but I was able to watch part 2 of Snakedance, aka a really, really solid, like, just a really solid episode. This is one where, how do I say this? You really get to see, you get to see what Janet Fielding is capable of, and, well, actually, what all our regulars are really capable of. One big issue with season 19 overall is that Peter Davison's Doctor is kind of bland, and through he progressively gets better and better in each season. So you really get to see here that that he that that the character is already just this, this idealist, and there is a lot of that idealism to his character, and to the way he works, and the way the story works around him. Like, there really is a like, a lot of this episode, the Doctors and Nyssa in particular are both investigating all of this. They're investigating, Manussa as a planet, these two Maran Empire, the Federation's position here. The Federation has basically has integrated themselves onto the planets in such a way that they defeated the Mara. They defeated the Mara ages ago in the past. Uh, they were the ones responsible for sealing them away in the Great Crystal, and you have a lot of this mythology that Christopher Bailey just writes in, that the Sumaran Empire kind of fell because it got too big, and there's this implication that the Federation is getting too big. There are deep colonialist themes in this story. Yeah, it's not like, say, it's not like, say, Kindo, where it was directly British colonialism. This is much more colonialism in general. Um, um, and unlike Kinda, which was very, very art house and high concept and doing weird things, Snakedance is a bit more down to earth, a bit more easygoing, and just you know just a bit more of a story all about where it kind of lays out its themes. It doesn't try to veil them in funny camera work. Fiona Cumming is the um, you know it's it's a very, very, very different you know it's it's a very, very different um, uh, it's a very different sort of story because of that. Like, there's this amazing scene in this episode where the Doctor goes to the basically the home of the one of the Federation representatives, and there's this collection of all of these of basically this different sort of um, you know this uh, this idea from this character of Ambril, who is part of the part of who is sort of turns his nose up at the legend, the idea of the legend, um, and in doing it, there is this, there's this idea of faces of madness, and the whole faces of madness thing is where um, uh, it's this fear, like this idea of the six faces of madness, but there are only five faces, and of course it leads up to this great climax of the sixth face is the face of the wearer, um, which is just amazing. And then the Doctor is basically figuring it out on his own with Nyssa, um, and you have the Doctor trying to basically process on this blue crystal, process his thoughts, which is really, really fascinating. Meanwhile, Tegan and Lon, the character played by Martin Clunes, are basically both under the control of the Mara throughout, and it's great because you see the Mara as this. It's much more desperate here. Like, it was already defeated on Diva Loka, now it's desperate, trying to being more crafty, and it's almost more dangerous here because it's toying with Tegan's actual mind. Like, there's this point early on where Tegan has a breakdown right in front of Nyssa after being possessed by the Mara. She's still in there, but there is a lot of stuff, and it builds up to like the secret passage in this cave where the Mara was defeated the first time. It's all kind of building up to this idea that the Mara is really dangerous, is something to be reckoned with, and it's something that's really, really good. Um, um, uh, you know, it's it's something very different because of this, and it gives Janet Fielding a really good point. As the cliffhanger is basically the Mara is winning, like the doctors, like it's a cliffhanger of Tegan completely basically being taken over by the Mara, and not no longer being able to fight it. Like, she's evil. It's really, really good stuff. So overall, and it gives Janet Fielding a really good chance to do a lot of different stuff. So overall, I'd have to give part 2 of Snakedance a 10 out of 10. All right, it's the 16th of May 2020. Yeah, we're missing days again. Yay for. Hopefully this the last missing day for a while, but I don't know. But today I finished watching Snakedance Part 3. This is the third episode of the story, and the one that I found a little tiring. It's still a great script. Peter Davison, as always. Peter Davison's excellent. Sarah Sutton's excellent. Janet Fielding is killing it, just as the villainous version of Tegan, because Mara, the Mara has totally taken her over and created, basically given her this, given her this, this evil persona to play around with, which is incredibly fun and incredibly, incredibly different. But this entire this entire story is this is something where there really is it's a very, very, very different a very different sort of story. Like, you're dealing with a lot of the history here and a lot of the world building, which is really, really good. It's it's this different little you know uh this is a different this is a different sort of story. There's this very, very different story. It's dealing with, like, the idea that people, that it's something that people have created. It's a it's a different little you know, it's a different little episode because it does, um, you know, because it's a different thing. You know, there is the whole, you know, the plot line about, you know, this character of Dojin who went into the desert and disappeared, um, and you know, the ceremony basically being everything done, but the story um, is definitely something different, something a bit more uh, just a bit weirder with all of you know what the plot can do, and what things are. Um, you know, it's it's a different um, you know, it's this very, very different sort of thing. The story can do, it creates, uh, you know, it creates something different. But the big problem here is that this plot, a lot of it just has the Doctor and Nyssa captured at the beginning and captured at the end. It creates, you know, a story loop, and it's not like Kinda's story loop where, you know, you actually learn new things. Like, a lot of this stuff is that the you know, is that the uh, is that the story, um, you know, doesn't doesn't actually do like a good loop. Like, the Doctor and Nyssa haven't really learned anything here. Um, like, it's just sort of, oh, they're now captured again. It's not nowhere near as enjoyable to sort of watch is the problem here. Overall, you know, it still is. I mean, it's definitely, uh, you know, it's an enjoyable episode. It's definitely an enjoyable episode. It's a lot of stuff like the Mara are a great villain. Janet Fielding is great, but it's all moving things into place, and that's just where it kind of, as a story, falls flat, and as an episode happens to just sort of fall down a little bit. So overall, I'd have to give part 3 of Snakedance an 8 out of 10. Alright, it is the 17th of May 2020, and I just finished listening to part 4 of Snakedance, the final episode, the concluding episode, and the one where everything ends. In an episode that I have quite a few thoughts on. First off, I'm actually going to talk about the ending of the episode because it's actually kind of the weak bit. It's not a bad ending. It's just really, really abrupt. Like, it just sort of stops after the Mara is defeated, and the Doctor gets one line in. Mainly because I think because the episode was overrunning. Like, that's at least the reason behind why the episode was stopped like this. But that doesn't really excuse it from having, you know, a weird ending, an ending where there isn't, you don't get to see the you don't get to see where everything ends. It ends with literally the Doctor kind of basically telling Tegan that it's over, and then you get a shot of the Mara, basically disintegrating, basically disintegrating into just this dust, which is, you know, it's there. That's the ending. That's where this story ends, which is you know, which is an odd way of ending things. It just kind of makes everything feel like there isn't meant to end it with just something satisfactory. It just stops. But I will say that leading up to that ending, it's actually great. The whole ceremony sequence where he's intentionally cheesy, like really cheesy, and you can so just the listener can tell that, okay, this is all done to make it so that we, the audience, sort of have that juxtaposition with what the story is, with the Mara as villains, and with what's happening to Tegan, and what everything is, what's going on with everything. It's not the normal ending for a story because of that, because it is doing something different. It's different. It's weird, and it's different. Like just because there is this nice juxtaposition in the attitude. You also really get to see. You get to see a lot of you get to see a different a very, very different thing. A very, very different thing for it's something weird, because you have then stuff with Dojin, who is basically silent, and you have some actual snakes used for like the poison. This story actually just this is the episode that gets very high concept. Again, all about time and learning from mistakes, and sort of, again, there's the more meditation, there's the more meditative aspects of this episode when it comes to the script. Unlike the first 3 episodes that are much less obvious in their inspirations. They're just, and that's just something that I think is fascinating. It does the different, just the different aspect of the story really, really well. And it creates something different. So overall, I'd have to give part 4 of Snakedance, a 9 out of 10. That being said, we add up the scores and average them out to give Snakedance a final score of 9 out of 10. Thank you everybody for watching this installment of the Ultimate Doctor Who Marathon. As always, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Get a conversation going down in the comments below. And join me next time when we start a look at the Black Guardian trilogy, having the Black Guardian make an actual return to the televised show since his appearance in the Armageddon Factor with MAWDRYN Undead.